Welcome back to the Poker Vlog, everyone. Today we're going to be playing 2-5 no limit at the Wynn. We're looking for our 5th consecutive W. We buy in for 1,000. Let's get started. I pick up a few small pots and have about 1,100 to start this hand with Ace King from +1. The $10 straddle is on the button. I open for 30. Middle position player calls, straddler and small blind call. We go 4 ways to a flop of Ace 9-3 with 2 spades. Small blind checks. I bet 65 to see where we're at. Middle position player calls, button folds. Small blind goes into the tank for a bit and puts in the check raise to 225. Given the scenario, he's probably not getting out of line here very often to be check raising 2 opponents out of position. A set of 9s or a set of 3s could certainly be there, but an ace high spade draw could easily be one of his holdings as well. I should probably be letting go of this hand, but I can't seem to find the fold button anywhere. I'm also thinking about making a play on future streets. I call the 160 more, and middle position player folds. Heads up to a turn card of the 6 of spades. I told myself if he checks here I'm firing huge. But he goes in the tank for a bit and puts out a sizable bet of $430. With this size, he's basically made the commitment to call an all-in from me, so he either made the spade flush, flopped a set and is going with it until the end, or just made a nasty bluff that worked. Probably a mistake to call that check raise on the flop given that situation, and I had a player behind me. I have no spades in my hand. The bottom of his range has to be an ace high flush draw, maybe 2 pair with the ace of spades, so I think we can pick a better spot there. But moving on. We add a few more hundred to the stack. The game is pretty stale and a player to my left suggests a bomb pot for $20. If you're unfamiliar with a bomb pot, all players must agree to put X amount in the middle before the cards are dealt, and pre-flop action is complete. I sweat only 1 card for fun, which is the 10 of clubs, so it's a family pot of $140 and we go 7 ways to a flop of Queen Jack 9 with 2 hearts. Oh baby, we may have just flopped the nuts. Let's see. Nope, it's only the second nuts. Wow. It's check to me. I bet $55. Somebody's got to have a piece in this 7-way flop. Come on. Come on. Nope, it folds all the way around and I win my first bomb pot ever. What a great suggestion by my neighbor.
Hey. That's it? Hey. God, don't turn over a hand. Last draw?
Next, we pick up Jack 9 of clubs. This has always been one of my favorite hands for no reason at all. So let's raise with it. There was an under the gun limp. I make it 20. Player to my left, who suggested the bomb pot earlier, is looking for some action and 3 bets to 70. Back to the under the gun player. He folds, and I call the 50 more. Heads up to a flop of Ace Deuce 3 with 2 clubs. I check, and he pretty quickly checks, which is interesting. With some straight and flush draws out there, I think he's betting most of his strong aces here, or any pocket pairs to rep an ace. The turn is a 5 of diamonds. With a check on the flop from him, he may be concerned with the ace on board, so I fire out a bet of 135. He folds instantly and shows kings. I'm pretty glad I chose a larger sizing for that semi-bluff to put him in a tough spot. To my next and probably worst played hand of the night, let's get this over with. We have red jacks in the big blind. New player from early position raises to 20. I'll mix in flatting or 3-betting here depending on the opponent. I decide to flat against this new player out of position. We go heads up to a flop of 10-8 deuce with 2 diamonds. I check and he bets 20. He doesn't appear to be strong, so I put in the raise to 65 thinking if he just has overcards he'll be done with this small pot. But he does make the call. We go to a turn card of the ace of spades. It's a pretty terrible card if he floated with his big aces, or maybe he has an ace high diamond draw. I check now and I'm pretty much done with the hand if he bets, but he checks back. River is a deuce of spades. I decide to figure out a price I would call and make a bet instead of checking and facing a larger bet from him. I bet $50 for value from hands he may have with a 10, or a fold will work as well. None of that happens, however. Instead, he puts in a raise to 130. Now I'm definitely supposed to make the laydown with jacks here. I set my price at 50. Now he's going for value. At this point, I just want the information. So I call 80 more, and he shows ace 9 offsuit. Took me right to value town. He had the ace of diamonds, so it does make sense that he took a look at a turn card. Pretty annoyed with myself, though, how awful I played that hand. Next, we pick up queens on the button. Under the gun opens for 15 with only about 120 to start the hand. Middle position player calls. I raise to 65. Player on my left cold calls the 65. Under the gun calls, leaving himself with about 60 left. The middle position player calls, and we go 4 ways to a flop of 7-9-9 with 2 diamonds. First player goes all in for his remaining $58. Middle position player folds. It's to me with 1 player behind. I put in a raise to 200 to isolate, and he makes the fold. We're heads up to a board run out of King of Hearts, 3 of Spades. All in shows 9-10 offsuit for the winner, trip 9s. Things aren't going great here, and I feel a table change is in order, so I move to another table. We are in for about 1,500 now, and I'm down about 5. First orbit at the new table, I pick up aces in the cutoff. Early position raises to 20. 1 player calls. I put in the 3 bet to 75. Original raiser folds, and the other player calls. We go heads up to a flop of 10-9-4 with 2 diamonds, and our opponent checks to me. Pretty good flop for us here. We have the ace of diamonds and the overpair, so I continue for $100. He goes into the tank. He may have some Broadway cards like King Queen or King Jack, thinking about peeling a turn card here, but after about 30 seconds he makes the fold and we take down a little pot. It doesn't take long to realize this game was worse than the first one I was in, so I put my name down on the table change list because a brand new 2-5 game is starting behind me and it looks like it's going to be good. About 30 minutes goes by and I get a seat in the new game. We're finally in a great game. It looks like we have about 4 recreational players and 2 solid pros. First notable hand at the new table, we have Queen 9 of clubs on the button. Early position opens for 15 and 2 players call. I call, the small blind and big blind call, and we go 6 ways to a flop of 10-3-4, all clubs. We flop a queen high flush in a multi-way pot. Blinds check and original raiser bets 35. It's folded to me. I'm definitely sticking in a raise here. I don't want to see any more clubs, so I need to charge extra in case they're holding the ace or king of clubs. I raise to 110. It folds back to the original better, and he makes the call, and I'm thinking he has just that. Turn is a 3 of diamonds pairing the board. I'm not really concerned as I don't think he has a set here given his $35 bet sizing on the flop. He checks. I bet 240 for value against overpairs and to deny any equity against bigger clubs. He thinks for a bit and does make the laydown. Next, we pick up 8-10 of spades, under the gun and +1 limp. Let's punish him. I raise to 25 given these opponents and the opponents in the blinds. The small blind calls and the limpers both call. We go 4 ways to a flop of Jack, Jack 5 with 2 diamonds. We get no sniff of the flop here, but they all check to me. Normally I'd slow down here with 3 opponents to get through, but I decide to take the aggressive route and bet 45. I don't think any of these players will be calling without a jack or a flush draw. It's likely they whiff the flop just like me, so I make the bet, they all fold immediately, and we take it down.
Thank you.
So we're making a bit of a comeback here, only down a few hundred now in the session. Next, we pick up queens again on the button. I'm 0 for 2 so far. Under the gun limps. Next player raises to 25. 1 player calls. I put in the raise to 100. It folds to the original raiser. He's a really solid player. I've already seen him make 2 high-level plays earlier. He decides on a flat here, which rules out a few really strong hands in my opinion. I think if he has aces, kings, or ace-king, he puts in a 4-bet here, since he has been aggressive, and it'll likely get rid of the player behind him and get heads up with me. So with a flat from him, it does bring in the other player, and we go 3 ways to a flop of ace, king, 9 with 2 diamonds. So we have a pretty terrible flop here, but given the information, I'm not sure either player has an ace. I don't put the player in the middle on a big ace as he just called the original raise preflop, and he'd likely fold a hand like ace-jack to the $100 raise. So I put out a bet of 140, hoping to take it down right here. It doesn't happen though. Back to the solid player who goes into the tank for a bit and decides on a flat. The other player folds and we are heads up now. Alarm bells are going off now as 9-9 is a very possible hand given the way the action went preflop, or at the very bottom of his range could be king-jack of diamonds or queen-jack of diamonds. So let's see a turn. The turn is a 5 of spades. He checks to me again. I debate firing a massive bet of 500 here, but I decide against it as he may be setting a trap. So I'm hoping to get to showdown here for as cheap as possible, hoping he missed a big combo draw. River is another blank 3 of hearts. He checks again. I check back hoping he missed, and he shows the king queen of diamonds It all makes sense now. I asked him if he was going anywhere on the turn facing a big bet, and he said no, he's in until the end. I think the only way I win that pot is with a bet on the turn and the river, but that'd be pretty ambitious with that board. Next, we pick up ace-king suited in the hijack. We have a middle position raised to 20. I raise to 65. Player on my left cold calls the 65. Now it's to the button, who is another good pro I haven't seen much from yet. He puts in the 4-bet to 250. It's folded back to me. I know this player is certainly capable of this play with jacks or queens here, and given my hand, those are the two most likely. I have 985 in front of me, and I can't figure out a sizing other than ripping it all in and putting him to a tough decision with one of those hands. If he has aces or kings, so be it.
Raise all in.
The other player folds, and it's back to him. He doesn't snap call, which is great news, and he wants a count.
985 total.
About 15 seconds goes by while he's in the tank, and he says,
So do you have king?
so that's great news. We know he has queens now. We have some great fold equity here, so I'm fine if he folds or calls, honestly. I'm ready to play a big pot. He ends up calling, and the flop comes queen 5-7 with 2 clubs. Here we go. We pick up a ton of outs now. If you're enjoying this video, please hit that like and subscribe, and let's bring in this 2K pot. The turn is a 6 of hearts. Come on, dealer. Last chance. And brick. River is a 5 of diamonds. We miss, and he shows the ladies for top set full. So now we're stuck 1,500. The game is too good to leave, and I feel great. I reload for 1,000 more, and fasten your seatbelts, because we're about to get it all back, and in a hurry. Just 3 hands later, we pick up kings from under the gun. Straddle is on the button. I open for 30. Player to my left calls. Straddler calls, and big blind calls. We go 4 ways to a flop of 10-5 deuce rainbow. It's check to me. I bet 70, hoping someone has a 10. Player to my left calls. The other 2 players fold. This player has been very aggressive with his weaker hands. I've seen him fire on all 3 streets previously. We go heads up now, and you all know it feels better than flopping a set. Of course, it's turning it. We get an unexpected king of spades on the turn. We have the absolute nuts now on a rainbow board. We don't want to scare him off here, of course, so I'm checking. Hopefully he takes a stab at that scare card of a king, and he does. He fires 135. Now I act like I have a little bit of a decision here, but we all know I'm just calling. The river is an 8, and top set stays the nuts. Wow, it's so rare that that happens. I feel like Mike McD in Rounders now, knowing I have to check the nuts on the river to get any more value. I check to him one last time. He starts reaching for chips, and I'm hoping it's all of them. But he bets $255. Dream situation. I check out his stack, and he has about $450 left, and we are going for all of it. I announce all in. Now we are hoping that we were wrong the whole time, and he actually has something, or makes a hero call, but he does end up making the laydown pretty quickly, and we pick up $550 profit there. Very next hand, I pick up ace-king from the big blind. Player who stacked me earlier opens for $20 from +1. The button calls. We're looking to play a big pot again. I 3-bet to 100. It goes back to the original raiser who asks how much I have again. I tell him roughly 1,500. He calls, and the button calls. 3 ways to a flop of 8-7-3 with 2 clubs. Another nasty flop, but we are going to continue to show strength. I bet 170. I have a feeling it's not going to get through this time, both players, but it does, and we pick up a few more hundred, and we're only stuck about 700 now. The very next hand we pick up queens for the 4th time of the night. I didn't hit record until after the flop, so this is what happened pre-flop. The straddle was on from under the gun, cutoff raised to 30. I 3-bet to 100. You gotta realize I look like a complete spaz right now, and everyone at the table is thinking the same thing. Little do they know I've had monsters every time. So it folded to the original raiser. He makes the call, and he has over 1K in his stack. Flop comes 10-5 deuce with 2 spades. This player has been pretty tight, so I'm putting him on a range of 9s through jacks, possibly ace-king just to flat that 3-bet pre-flop. I bet 130. And after he makes the call here, I'm a little concerned because I'm really only ahead of jacks. He may also have a hand like ace-king of spades or ace-jack of spades. The turn is an ace of hearts, which is not great. I don't peg this player as one to float me on the flop with overs, so I'm not too worried, but I'm going to check here and see what he does. He checks back, which is good news. River is an 8 of clubs. I don't think I can get any value from worse hands here against this opponent. This might be another good spot to make a small bet to set a price that I would call on the river, but that didn't work out well for me last time. So I check here, and he checks back, flips over jacks, about the only hand we can beat, so feels nice to win one with queens today. About 4 hands later, we're back under the gun with 7-9 of diamonds. We're on a heater now, so let's keep it going. I open for 15. One player calls, and the button raises to 75. He's the solid player from earlier who snapped my queens with the king-queen of diamonds. He's capable here of 3-betting light given how active I've been. I have about 2K in front of me now, and I want to see a flop. I call, the other player folds, and we go heads up to a flop, and what a glorious flop it is. It comes 9-6-8 with the 6-8 of diamonds. We have top pair and an open-ended straight flush draw. I'm trying to contain my excitement as I check to him. Sadly, he checks back. The turn comes a 7, giving us 2 pair now, which is probably good here, but 1 card straights get there on both sides. I bet 105, expecting to take it down. He thinks for a bit and decides to just call here. I can't imagine he has a 10 since he didn't stick in a raise. I'm also ruling out any sets as he's always betting a flop with a set there. He may have pocket 5s for the bottom end. I'm thinking I might need some help on the river here. And we get it. The river is another 7. We have 7s full now, only losing to pocket 8s and pockets 9s, which we've already ruled out. I'm going for big value here on the river now, hoping to get paid off by a straight of some kind. I bet 425. And he ends up calling. I showed the full house and he folds, so it must have been a straight. This pot puts us back to 2,700 now. I told myself I'd call it a night if we got anywhere near even. We are 7 hours into the session. 2 of the weaker opponents just left. It's a small win of $190, but feels more like $1,900. Happy to book win number 5 for the vlog. All right, everyone, that's it. I hope you enjoyed session number 5 from the win. Whew, what a comeback. Kind of brutal. We had almost our whole month's profit on the table there at risk, but hey, that happens as you move up into higher stakes. So nothing new for me. I'm used to climbing out of holes. Pretty happy overall the way I played tonight. That ace-king early wasn't great. I could probably fold that hand on the flop, save some money there, and the pocket jacks were terrible. But that's what we're here for, to talk about these hands and how we can improve, the next session, next time we get in those type of situations. Really happy with the ace-king of clubs. I really pegged him on like jacks or queens right there. Thought I put him in a pretty tough spot where he was flipping at best. So it just didn't go our way that time, but somehow we went on an insane heater that I've never had before in one orbit like that to pick up $1,700 in about 20 minutes. And in several different pots. It wasn't just an all-in or a 3-way all-in. It was a bunch of hands, so that was ridiculous. I cut out so many hands, played over 7 hours tonight. Took some advice from one of the comments. He said, don't show me any pots under 100, so I'm going to try to stick with that. Probably going to continue with 2.5 or higher here for the vlogs. I think it's just more interesting, probably more fun to watch. You can get more creative. We got deeper stacks, so I think I'm going to continue that route. And as always, leave any comments or suggestions down below. I try to get back to everyone when I can. And I appreciate you liking and subscribing and all the support. It's been awesome so far. So we're going to continue to pump out these videos. And I will see you next Sunday, same time. And good luck to you guys. See you soon.